Are you looking to increase your KD, win more gunfights, or just trying to improve overall? Well, stay tuned because you came to the right video. Today I'll be showing you how to improve fast in Apex Legends to have you prepared for Season 9. As per usual, timestamps can be found down in the description box below. On top of aiming and movement, Apex Legends is a game where damage exchanging is quite crucial. Trying to limit the amount of damage you take while increasing your damage output is the key to becoming a great player. With that said, let's jump into the first tip I have, which is creating openings. I've seen numerous comments where players say that if they push a squad, they get focused by all three players and get knocked very easily. And that's because they're missing a big part about how to approach a squad fight. Creating openings for you and your team is essential to closing the distance on an enemy team. Well, what is an opening? An opening is being able to push an area that can improve your positioning and create better angles for firing. Majority of the time when facing a squad that's prepared for you, there are very limited angles that can be used at the start of a fight. That's when the damage exchange is most essential to create the first opening for you. Initial shots at the start of a gunfight will determine whether you have to lose ground to heal or push up to capitalize on your damage output. So always be prepared and focused to pressure certain angles, and if done successfully, it will open up new ones for you. I think a lot of players see how pros just go head first into a fight and come out on top. But to replicate that, your aiming, movement, and decision making must be at an all-time high. Rather, look to deal some damage before full sending. You can't push a good team without putting out the damage beforehand. Let's take a quick look at the first example I have, which can help break down creating openings. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, hopping into the first example on how to properly create openings for you and your team. Now in this clip, me and Control just came out of a squad wipe. Unfortunately, one of our teammates gets downed and wiped completely. Then I notice a team start flying in. You can see that they're split, so I have some enemies on my left side and also some enemies on the right side. So that's very bad for us. I immediately look to start sending out that initial damage. Just about cracked the Revenant on the first exchange, and I immediately look to grab another angle to see if I can get a quick knock on him. While doing so, I notice his teammate Horizon coming in as well, so if I try to focus on Revenant here, I know that Horizon is just going to absolutely beam me. So what I do instead is focus Horizon, that way I don't take the shots from her, and then two of them will be weak. And that is the opening that I'm talking about. That right side, I'm not too worried about it. I'm not super focused on it because I've done the damage. They have to heal. This is why I immediately look on the left side and look for that player because I know his teammates are not going to be shooting at me. That's going to give me an opening on the right side, and then I can deal some damage on the left side. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't quite get a knock on either of the players on that team. However, I did deal a lot of damage to all of them, so they know our presence, they know we have good shots, and they're going to start playing a little more passive. So I bait and switch with Control, and then I get a full reset going, make sure I full heal before we make the next push. Now, I want you guys to really pay attention to this next part here. I crack Horizon, and I actually almost knocked the Bangalore. She was like 5 HP from dying. And I go to loot the box. Even though they're right in front of me, they still have an angle on me because I created that opening for myself. Two of them are cracked. It's only one player, and he's most likely a little bit more passive since he's trying to hold for his team so they can heal up. That is another opening that I have for myself where I'm being completely oblivious to that team because I know they're not going to peek me since they have to heal. Now, this fight was extended for absolutely no reason. This three-man team decided to run away, which is quite unfortunate. We should have had some early knocks in the fight, which would have resisted them from completely running away like this. So at this point, me and Control make our final push on this team. They're very split. When a team tries to run away, most of the time, that's when they become loosened up, most likely in shambles. They're not as coordinated, and that's when you can get those easy picks from afar if they're all split up.
Throwing Arc Star. Shield. Respond. And take them shots. Reload. Reload.
So now we know how important it is to deal damage and capitalize on the new openings you can create for yourself. The next thing I want to touch on is something even the best players sometimes struggle with, which is not over-peaking. When you're in a squad fight, you never want to be the first player going down and ultimately costing your team to lose the fight. The best way to avoid this from happening is by not over-peaking. When firing at someone, many players are eager to try and get a knock with their first magazine. But facing decent players can sometimes make this very tough with good strafe movement and or enemies playing hip to hip with each other. Instead, try and deal what I like to call pepper damage. This is where you don't commit to a single player unless you're making an aggressive coordinated team push. Otherwise, try and look to send out pepper damage, which can be achieved by sending some shots and taking cover. When doing this, be sure to be on top of how much health you have and always cap up with a few cells if you need to. This is where being able to use cover effectively can help wonders. If you're caught out in the open with no cover, then your only option is to overpeak and fully commit. But by knowing what you can use as cover during a fight will help prevent you from overpeaking. However, just because you do have cover doesn't mean you're immune to overpeaking. This is when you have to use your mental judgment on when it's time to stop firing and get behind some cover to heal. Don't try and force a bunch of damage out all at once. Look to pepper and deal quick damage from different angles. Mastering this can also help with dealing damage to multiple players on an enemy team, which in result will loosen them up and have them more vulnerable for a one-mag opportunity for you and your team. So now let's take a look at the second example I have, which can help you understand on how not to overpeak. Alright guys, jumping into the second example, which covers not overpeaking, but I can also touch base with creating openings for myself. And in this fight early on, I get some nice damage off.
Reload.
Plus my teammate ends up ulting them. It was a Bangalore ult, which makes a lot of noise. So I was able to close the distance on them without taking any damage at all. So I scoop myself around the back, trying to flank them, lift up. I was able to single out a Revenant and just about knock him. But notice how I don't overpeak here. I drop back down because I know the Wraith saw me lift up here. So if I try to continuously weapon swap and try to kill that Revenant, that Wraith is going to absolutely fry me. So I drop back down, use my same lift to go up a different route. I was able to get sneaky shots on Lifeline. Now I have Lifeline really low and Revenant really low, so it's looking really promising right now. So then I play bottom floor while my teammates push up, and then I'm waiting for the Wraith to drop on me. I know she's gonna drop. She's gonna get antsy. She knows I'm already weak, and I was able to take Wraith out fairly easily, plus she was weak for my teammates, which is a bonus. And then the last one on the team, the Lifeline also dropped because she pretty much had nothing else to do at that point as well. If you're enjoying the video so far, a like rating is always appreciated. And also don't forget to subscribe, join the champion squad for some more awesome content. From creating openings, forcing yourself not to overpeak, let's get into the last tip I have for you guys, which is changing up your angles. Some games you'll find yourself come across a 3-stack, or in other words, 3 players partied up, calling out and holding hands in a casual trio playlist. Unfortunately, I've been seeing many more of these players start to exist in console lobbies, and as the seasons progress, this can be quite difficult to solo queue in public matches. But the biggest help when coming across these types of players is to constantly change up your angles and positioning. Since they have mics and are partied up, most likely they'll be trying to call out your location. This will force you to be on your A game and try not to let them cut you off or surround you. So always looking to improve your positioning and angles will be key to being victorious. Now, I don't mean to literally rotate when they have an open shot on you, but rather look to again deal some initial damage, then rotate for a different angle. The pepper damage will force them to heal, and they won't be able to keep track of you as easily. It's all about trying to keep them guessing on where you will be peeking from next. Doing this can help assist in your damage output and help you get the better of the exchange most of the time. Now, even if you aren't facing a sweaty 3-stack, changing up your positioning after dealing damage is always very beneficial and helps limit damage taken. Remember, keep the enemies clueless and keep yourself unpredictable. Now let's take a look at my last example on why changing up angles and positioning can be very effective. Alright guys, we're on board with the last example, and this is going to cover the benefits of changing up your angles and always looking to improve your positioning. Before I entered this building, I knew there's a team outside, so I immediately looked to obtain height. Being up here, I have a lot of vision of where they're going to be located, where they're going to be positioned. And I noticed one had white armor by the res beacon, even though I didn't hit her for that much. Since I had blue armor, I figured I could push the guy by the res beacon fairly simple, but then I get shot from the side from a lifeline, and that's when I focus and quick snap on her and actually crack her. Even though I got the better of the exchange there, notice how I don't push her. That's because I want to focus the guy at the res beacon, because even if I push this lifeline while she's cracked, she might have a battery that I don't know about. And if by the time I get there, she's going to have the bat off, and at that point, it's going to be a fair fight, blue armor versus blue armor. Now, at the time, I had no clue that was a solo by the beacon. So I got lucky there, insta-wipe her, and then I start sending some shots over by my lifeline. She has a whole team on her, which is quite unfortunate. And while peppering from a distance, I'm actually dealing some heavy damage. Damage that is sendable. Again, we're talking about those pepper shots. And when you get that good of an exchange, and you know two of them are very low, the last person has nothing to do but either wait for the push or try to go for a res. And that's when I make the move to full send and close the distance on that team.
Back from a wee kip. I'm taking shots. The ring's closing and we ain't. I downed an enemy.
I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you learned a thing or two, be sure to hit that like button. It's always appreciated. And as always, this has been your boy Sultan. I'm signing off. Peace.
All I want is